companies to maintain their consistent earnings surprise track records. A few select companies have been able to do it, but many who were part of the earnings all-stars brigade for years had at least one miss during the pandemic, not surprisingly. But there are some this week who have maintained their perfect track record, and I brought a couple of them for you here today. It's not easy, and these are truly the earnings all-stars. Let's check them out and see who they are. So the first stock is Snowflake, ticker SNOW, and this isn't one that has kept its perfect track record, but I wanted to bring it here today because it's popular out on the street, and the chart has been kind of crazy with a big surge off of its IPO, or when it became public there in 2020, and then it fell below those prices, and now it's surged back up again, and now is on its way down again. So over the last 6 months, Snowflake shares down 11%, and year to date here in 2022, down 20%. But the outlook is looking a little bit better for maybe getting into earnings positive in fiscal 2023. So after those two big beats the last 2 quarters, this quarter is an important one for Snowflake. So I know a lot of you are watching it, and you either own it or you trade it. So that's why I wanted to include it here today. Let's see if they do, if they're able to do another big beat for their third beat in a row. Now we're going to turn over to those that are the earnings all-stars. Viva Systems, ticker VEEV. I've talked about it before on the show, and look at that track record. No misses. Now, some of those small green arrows could be that they just beat or met the number, but this chart indicates both the meets and the beats, and it's still impressive even if you're meeting the number. But these shares too have pulled back a bit here, now down 30% in the last 6 months. Is this a buying opportunity in Viva Systems? It still trades at 56 times. So it's a little pricey here still. It's not really in the value stock wheelhouse, but it does have the perfect record, and we'll see if it can maintain it this quarter. Then we're switching over to Kroger. Now it has 3 misses here over the last 5 years, but given the pandemic, that's still pretty impressive. And that they are in retail and food retail during the pandemic is also impressive. So they put this nice streak of 8 beats in a row together. The shares busting out to new 5-year highs to start 2022 have come down just a little bit, but are still up 2.7% year to date. And given that the S&P 500 is down in 2022, that's pretty impressive. But how much more is left in the tank here? Shares are not altogether expensive, as the earnings have been on the rise, and it trades at about 13 times. So how much are you willing to pay for the grocery stores here? That's the question we're all going to be asking with Kroger. Then we're going to switch over to another perfection chart. Broadcom, ticker AVGO. And I know many of you watch this one too on the semi side, and you haven't been disappointed in the last 5 years. But again, some of those small arrows could be meets in there, or very small beats. But hey, we don't care. A beat is a beat, no matter how small. So year to date, these shares are now down 11.6%. That's not as dramatic as some other companies, and even some on the semi side, but it has had this nice little correction, now trading at 17.7 times forward earnings. Is this a buy? Because these shares were busting out to new 5-year highs to start the year as well. That's all going to be part of the analysis here as they report, and we all listen to that conference call. So Broadcom with the perfect record, will it keep that record? We will see. Then we're going to wrap it up with one of the premier retailers. It was a premier retailer before the pandemic, but even more so during the pandemic. Costco, ticker COST. I know you love it. It's track record is also very good, and especially because, again, it was on the retail side during the pandemic. So only the two misses during the pandemic, and otherwise it has a pretty good track record, including 3 beats in a row there in 2021. Will it start off 2022 on such a hot streak? We don't know yet, but the street feeling that they need to maybe sell this one off, maybe cash in some of those gains from the strong year there in 2021. Year to date, the shares are down 8.8%. That's not too terrible, kind of in line with the S&P 500 year to date. And this one also pays a dividend, yielding 0.6% now. So you're not really buying it for the dividend. And it's not really cheap here on a PE basis, trading at 40 times. So it's a little pricey for me for Costco, even though it is one of the top retailers. You get to a point where you're asking, how much am I going to pay for those earnings? So it's possible we're at that point, but this earnings report could turn around these shares and push them back to new all-time highs. So that's what I'm going to be watching. But I'm expecting another strong quarter. The consumer was buying all during the holiday season, and that's what this quarter is about. So I'm expecting another red hot quarter from Costco. So I'm wrapping up the videos for this earnings season, but we still have quite a few number of retailers yet to report, including some of the big furniture retailers that I know many of you will be watching, including Williams and Sonoma, RH, and also some of the other apparel retailers like Lululemon that have been hot in the past, and we're still waiting to see how their holiday season was. So be sure to catch all the earnings action on my Twitter feed. You can get it at Tracy Reineck on Twitter or on StockTwits. I'll be posting a lot of those charts over there as the retailers continue to roll on. And then we're going to get some of the fiscal earnings reporters coming in, like Nike and others that report on the fiscal year. So things aren't stopping just because I'm not doing the videos, but I will resume the videos when the next earnings season launches with those large banks. It should be an interesting one as we get further along here into 2022 and the Fed starts to make some of its moves during that time that I'm away. So be sure to tune in to all of our videos. You can also get the top stock picks of the week on Zacks.com, also on our YouTube channel at Zacks.com/YouTube. But be sure to get everything somewhere, and I'll see you again in the start of the next earnings season this spring.